I want to turn to you on this because no country in the world has managed to achieve the scale and speed of emissions reductions that Australia is contemplating, and they certainly haven't been able to achieve this without any sort of form of, shall we say, nuclear energy. Now, today the Daily Telegraph, an American nuclear expert, said that Australia would be better off instead of paying hundreds of millions of dollars, really more like $1 billion in compensation to coal producers, if they put that towards investment in nuclear energy and making that part of the energy mix, at least as a realistic stopgap. Gemma, what do you think about that idea?
Well, I think it's a really powerful example of how ideologically driven this government is in its approach to energy policy. And I wrote about that in my weekend column in The Australian. And adding to that and aligned to that is the fact there's no market in the world where imposing price caps, the nature of which the government is putting on and which is causing this compensation, there's no market where a price cap either way has worked. So you've got a government that is driven by ideology, completely uninterested in the energy poverty it's plunging a section of the economy into and a section of the community into, but also, as this commentator rightly says, or this expert rightly says, if you're going to put more or less $1 billion into something, put it into developing a resource that we know is no emissions, is reliable. And Chris Bowen has said, 10 years is too far away. I mean, how negligent is that?
Well, and I mean, it seems to be quite crazy because if you look at the numbers, fossil fuels are being used at ever greater amounts around the world, and yet we are inflicting this sort of self-harm, this virtuous self-harm upon ourselves.
It's terrifying. And as Nick and you both said, transition, and I say this as a preface, everyone who's sensible wants the cleanest, greenest, most sustainable energy mix possible with reliable baseload that allows industry to flourish and mum and dad and grandma and grandpa to turn the lights on without fear of being, bankrupted or plunged into energy poverty. People don't understand that energy poverty in Europe is not just a creeping problem, it's a skyrocketing problem. And Australia is heading over that cliff because you've got a government that is hell-bent ideologically on one path only and not willing to listen to the importance of other views that can help us get there, albeit a little bit slower perhaps.